Thank you, everyone. I'm so excited about being here. Thank you for giving me this space, Ryan and Creative Mornings team. And speaking of this space, draft, this space is amazing. So let's give another hand for the draft team. You know, I'm usually up in front of groups. I work for Indiana Sports Corp. That's my day job. And I'm usually in front of groups talking about big sporting events, how to get involved in the community. But when I talked to Ryan about doing this, I really loved the theme of vision. And I wanted to go a different route to talk about the theme of vision. And, you know, we have a lot of perspectives of each other's lives, and a lot of that comes from social media. And I think we see a lot of the great things that are happening, the wonderful things in our lives. And I don't know if we talk enough about the hard things and the challenging things and the things that we overcome and the way that we're resilient. And so that's what I'm going to talk about today. And I want to acknowledge that this is my individual experience. There are so many different experiences with the topics that I'm sharing today, and I hope that you all find a way to connect on this and then also share your own inspired experience. So I turned 40 this past September. Let's go. And I really wanted to make sure that I took some time to reflect. Reflecting is very important to me. Journaling is very important to me. So I texted my friend Margaret and I said, hey, can we get together? Let's go to Highland Park. Let's lay out a blanket. Let's get all woo-woo. And give me a prompt, and I want to write. And she gave me the prompt of turning points. And when I was thinking about turning points, I looked up the definition, and it's a time at which a decisive change in a situation occurs. And when I thought about it, turning points for me had a few steps around them. So you have your turning point, and usually there's a little bit of a chaos, because some chaos ensues. Then you have your vision come through, and then you have some decisions to make. And so for me today, as I'm talking about vision and talking about turning points, I mean, I think turning points probably resonates with a lot of you. We can think of a lot of different turning points that we've all had. But mine are going to focus today on the 4 Ds. So I've got, here it goes, divorce, defeat, death, and determination. So let's get excited. So the first D is divorce. So I started dating Parker Ross. We actually went to college together. We met our junior year of college, and we instantly became best friends. We were around each other all the time. We actually became roommates. We lived with a couple of friends of ours our senior year. We were dating other people at the time, and then we found our ways to each other and started dating, and we got married in the summer of 2012. Marriage for me was interesting. My opinion of marriage was really formed when I was growing up, and I think a lot of us are probably discovering a lot of things that have affected us in our childhood that we're still working through. For me, my parents were great. They were raising 3 kids though. They both had full-time jobs. They fought all the time. It wasn't happy necessarily, some happy moments, but it wasn't great. So when I was dreaming of what my marriage should look like, I wanted it to be fun all of the time. I wanted to laugh all of the time. I wanted to have no worries. I did not want to be fighting and bickering and stressed all the time. And so that's what I looked for in my relationships. And when I go back and look at everyone I dated until Parker, it was the life of the party. It was the person who just wanted to have fun. And Parker and I had so much fun. I mean, we traveled all over the place and had fun. We loved dressing up for Halloween and having fun. And we even loved to go to Alley Cat and Broad Ripple and do finger mustaches and have fun. So the thing is that when you're an adult, you've got other priorities. Other priorities are kind of going above that fun. Still should have fun, but you've got work. You probably have to pay for a house. You've got bills. You've got responsibilities. And what I was finding was I was solely taking on all of those responsibilities. And there got to a point where I didn't recognize who I was anymore. I was sacrificing myself, and I didn't want to do it anymore. So the turning point. We got divorced in February of 2016. And I'm going to guess that some of you have been through divorce out there. It is very hard. I will say we did not have kids, so that made it a little bit easier, but it's a hard thing to go through. You have this life expectation. You have this plan. I mean, I didn't go take those vows saying, probably 50-50. And it's really hard to accept this new reality of what your life is. And you have to accept this new reality while moving your stuff, finding a new home, selling your old home probably, which took years, hearing really, really horrible rumors about why your marriage fell apart by people who do not deserve an opinion on it. And if you have money issues too, that makes everything worse. So the chaos. I felt like I wasn't deserving of love. I don't deserve love. I don't even know if love exists. I don't even know if I want to get married again. And it's very safe to say that hurt people hurt people. And my chaos was hurting some of my closest friends and family through the process. But it came with vision. I had really great, tough conversations with those friends and family and decided that I was worth way more than I was giving myself credit for. I didn't have to sacrifice. I could actually put Sarah first, and I could figure out how to love myself wholly and fully. So the decision. Therapy, y'all. Therapy, I cannot encourage it enough. I found an amazing therapist and was able to really dig deep inside of why I wasn't loving myself wholly and fully, why I didn't feel like I deserved of that love. I also got into running, and I am telling you, I do not like running. I am not good at running. But there's something about when you're going through that kind of chaos that if you can put a goal out there and say, I have control over this, I will put this goal out there, I will achieve it. And I'm telling you right now, if you want to do something like that, a 5K or a half marathon is a good way to do it. And that's what I did. I ran a half marathon, the mini marathon, that's me and my sister, when I finished my first one. And it felt great. It felt like I had finally achieved something. I put a goal out there, and I had something in my control when life felt very out of control at the time. I planned my first solo trip. Has anyone been on a solo trip? It's the best, right? Yes. If you haven't been on one, I highly recommend it. Even if it's a 2-day trip, it is so liberating. It is so nice to clear your head and make your own decisions for yourself. And what I had always dreamed of was I want to take a solo trip to California and I want to drive a convertible up the coast. So I went to San Diego and got my Instagram cover photo. And then I drove up the coast. Drove from San Diego to San Francisco in that white convertible. So it's funny because I was prioritizing my mental health, my well-being. I felt so good about who Sarah was. I was finally taking care of myself. And lo and behold, a few weeks later, that's when I started dating Jaden. And we're getting married in 3 weeks. So it's funny what the universe brings you when you start to focus on the right things. So my next D, defeat. So I'm from Cleveland, and like I said, I went to Butler, and I fell in love with Indianapolis. So it's been 22 years since I moved to campus, and I never looked back, never moved back. And as soon as I graduated from Butler, and I know there's a few Butler people in here, Butler can tend to be a bubble, and I really wanted to meet people outside of the Butler universe. And so I really said yes to everything. I got involved in the community. I wanted to do everything possible. And one of the things I got really involved with was a nonprofit called Indie Hub. And I think a lot of you know Indie Hub. Indie Hub is a nonprofit organization that connects 20 and 30-somethings to the city. And there was research around how long it takes for people to decide to stay in a city. And what they were finding was it only took 90 days. And so that connection from your city to your individual to a city or an organization or your community is really important. So that's what Indie Hub focused on, and I loved that because I was the prime example of someone who wasn't from here but decided to stay here. So in 2018, a job opening came for the president of the organization, and I went all in. I was like, I'm gonna get this job. This is all mine. I had board members telling me, it's all yours, you've got it, you're a sure thing. Well, spoiler alert, I wasn't a sure thing. Turning point, didn't get the job. And I think a lot of us can probably relate to those things. You go for something that you think you're so perfect at, that you're ideal for, you've dreamed about it, and then you have this deep disappointment. So the chaos, I felt really angry. And I don't know if a lot of people know about this, but I talked to Jaden about moving back to Cleveland. I just felt like, why give back to a community that doesn't give back to me? The vision, I stopped being a little dramatic. And I realized that this is bigger than that. I care too much about this community. And what if there's something bigger for me? What if I can have a greater impact? The decision, a job opened up at Indiana Sports Corp, and honestly, I was nervous about it. I had spent 8 years managing marketing for the Symphony, an arts organization. So would a sports organization even want me? And the thing with Indiana Sports Corp is we're kind of not a sports organization. We're a community organization that does our job through sports, but I didn't know if that would still be okay. So I had dinner with a few girlfriends one night, and they all had different decisions they were trying to make, but they couldn't make them. So they were just complaining the entire dinner about it. And I went home and I journaled about it. And as I was journaling, I was realizing that I was frustrated with them because of my frustration with myself. I wasn't making a decision that I needed to make. And crazy enough, and I still have this journal entry, this second line, I need to go for the job at ISC. So I can't imagine my life without Sports Corp. I get so much purpose from it. I have friends that are family from it. And I get some great opportunities from it. I've learned so much. And so I honestly am so glad I didn't get that job at Indie Hub. And another reason why, you know who did get that job? So I didn't know Blake Johnson at the time. And I was like, okay, I'll be the bigger person. I'll go get coffee with him. And I did, and I was like, shit, I actually like this guy. And I adore his wife. So that gives me a lot of, things happen for a reason. And this was the text that I got from the Indie Hub team my first day, Ashley. So that kind of made it pretty special. All right, the next D, death. So January of 2020, I was getting ready for work and I got a call from a friend. My ex-husband Parker had been interviewing for a job in Colorado. While he was interviewing, he started stuttering and he passed out. 24 hours later, he passed away from a stroke. He was 36, and I was gutted. I'm the ex-wife. Am I allowed to grieve? Am I allowed to feel this kind of sadness? A friend of mine took me out for coffee the next morning. He got me out of the house, and I told him about this and what I was thinking. And he said, "You were a huge part of each other's lives for 12 years. And fuck anyone who doesn't let you grieve." It was exactly the advice I needed to hear. A couple days later, his mom called me and asked if I could plan the celebration of life, and I was honored. And it was beautiful. It was at the Speakeasy in Broad Ripple, and so many people were there. And it was really wonderful and healing to see a bunch of people that I hadn't seen in a few years and all show up for this wonderful man. You know, Parker and I talked a few times before he died, and we actually saw each other at an event, and I was really nervous to see him, and I was mostly nervous because I had gone through all this growth and healing, and I really wanted to tell him that. And so we got to talk, and he acknowledged that he wasn't good at marriage, and I acknowledged that I probably wasn't loving myself enough to be in a marriage. And we apologized to each other, and we told each other we loved each other. And the last thing he said to me was, I believe in you so much, and I think one day you're going to take over the world. And he was right. He wasn't great at marriage. But he had this zest for life and just incredible laughter. And when he believed in you, he told you. And I am eternally grateful for that conversation, because I know not a lot of people get closure with death, and I had a little bit because of that. His celebration of life was the last weekend of February, and 2 weeks later, COVID hit, and everything I was working on was canceled, and I was dealing with the death of Parker. So I don't know how I survived the first few months of 2020, but that turning point was definitely Parker's death and the death of so much we loved, and that chaos was a lot of chaos, and I know a lot of you went through chaos as well around that time. Lockdown, and then honestly, I just cried. I cried on my bedroom floor, I cried on my kitchen floor, I cried on my closet floor. I was just crying everywhere in the house. And God bless Jaden, because he was there to support me and give me the space that he thought I needed, and I'm just not sure how we survived that, but we did. The vision to come out of that is, if Parker doesn't get to live past 36, I'll be damned if I'm going to sit around paralyzed and upset and not live my life the way he would want me to live it, because I knew I was meant for something bigger. So the decision, I had to focus my time and my energy on how I could give back. I knew I was meant for something bigger. What was that? And a few months later, we got the call to host the entire men's basketball tournament for March Madness. It was a call I definitely needed. I wanted to feel that the city could come back, and I wanted to feel that I could have some purpose again, because I was lacking it a lot at that point. We planned it in 70 days. I called my family. I remember calling my family and saying, I'm not going to see you for a while. I'm going all in on this. I'm giving 150%. I need to do this. And we managed to host 68 teams over 17 days. We filled the streets with art and music. And we filled the streets with people. We gave people hope. I could go on and on about what I learned about grief through divorce and death, and if anyone wants to talk about it at some point, I am an open book. I actually like talking about it. But speaking of books, I wanted to share this excerpt that I read from Untamed by Glennon Doyle. I read it I think it came out around 3 months after Parker died, and I wanted to read it aloud. If you let yourself shatter and then you put yourself back together, piece by piece, you wake up one day and realize that you have been completely reassembled. You are whole again and strong, but you are a new shape, a new size. The change that happens to people who really sit in their pain, whether it's a sliver of envy lasting an hour or a canyon of grief lasting decades, it's revolutionary. When that kind of transformation happens, it becomes impossible to fit into your old conversations or relationships or patterns or thoughts or life anymore. You are like a snake trying to fit back into old dead skin, or a butterfly trying to crawl back into its cocoon. You look around and see everything freshly with the new eyes you have earned for yourself, and there is no going back. Yeah, whoo! That's what I said when I read that, man. But wow, like permission to be a new version of yourself, and to acknowledge that relationships from your past are going to look different because of what you've been through, and that's okay. So the last D is determination. So I'm going to talk about work a little bit, but it's because my work is my passion. I love it. And it's also not an easy job, and it's really forced me to dive deep and find my voice. So after March Madness, my bosses took me to dinner, and they asked me to lead the Olympic swimming trials in 2024. I was nervous about accepting this because this was a big responsibility. A lot of people in the past that have led our major sporting events are incredible leaders, and I just didn't know if I was to that level. And it was going to be really hard. I mean, it was going to be in a new venue, a football stadium, and I knew USA Swimming wanted to at least double their attendance, and that is a big goal. So the turning point was being asked to take on that massive responsibility, and the chaos didn't leave much time for chaos. I had to make a decision pretty quickly. So I evaluated the priorities and if I wanted to do it, and the vision really helped me. And the vision I had for that event was that it could be something really special. And what helped have that vision is I knew I had the team around me to do it. Not only our sports corp team, but the community itself here is something special. It's just amazing. And I also loved that swimming is the only sport that can save your life. So could we have an impact on teaching people how to be water safe and swim? So the decision, I did take on that leadership role, and we hosted the largest swimming event in the world. We had more than 285,000 people attend over 9 days. And we had pools in Lucas Oil Stadium and a replica Eiffel Tower on Georgia Street. I want to call out Ashley Newbold. She's in the audience. She did a ton of work on this. And I'm happy to say we haven't announced it publicly, but we just hit 50,000 people swim or water safe in the state. Largest swimming event in the world. When Parker told me he believed I could take over the world, I laughed. But he saw something in me. He saw determination. And I just want to tell a quick story about determination, because I know we all find ourselves in those positions where we believe in something and we don't know if we have the voice strong enough to say it. So USA Swimming was actually not in favor of doing anything on Georgia Street. They weren't in favor of doing really a lot of our fan events and the awesome ideas that Ashley and her team had. They just didn't believe in Indy's special sauce. And so my boss and I had to fly out to Colorado Springs and present to them, and basically present to them on why they should actually invest in this, and that's what's going to take the event to the next level. I mean, the JW Marriott signage, the stuff in the air, they didn't believe in any of it. And this was in September of last year. So this would have given us 9 months to do all of this. That's how long it took us to convince them to do it. So I walk into the bathroom, like we get to the USA Swimming offices, I walk into the bathroom, and I've always loved this quote. The devil whispered in my ear, "You're not strong enough to withstand the storm." And today I whispered in the devil's ear, "I am the storm." And I looked in the bathroom mirror and I was like, "I am the storm, I am the storm, I am the storm." I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I did it upstairs too. We nailed the presentation, and obviously we got to do what we needed to do to take that event to the next level. So confidence, belief in a vision, determination, it can work. You just have to find that inner voice. So why am I telling you all of this? Divorce, defeat, death, determination, those turning points made me who I am today. They cracked me open and forced me to put myself together for a newer version of Sarah. They also taught me your plans are bullshit. But in seriousness, if you can face those turning points, being down for a little chaos, some creativity, an open heart, humor, and vision, you'll find that some things may work themselves into a plan you didn't imagine. and may even be a better plan than the original. No one wants to get divorced, but I can firmly say I would not be standing here if I didn't make that very, very hard decision. I didn't get that job, but things worked out pretty well. Parker's death taught me so much about love and friendship and what it means to show up for people. And I can't believe what we were able to do this summer, and it made me feel like I can do big things and that I deserve that seat at the table. So also, I think when you go through hard stuff, it just makes you a more empathetic, experienced person. I've been able to show up for friends in their own divorces. I've been able to talk about death. These are hard topics, but it makes us better people to each other. It makes us better connectors. And honestly, it makes us in the arena. You saw that quote up there. I love this quote by Brene Brown. If you are not in the arena getting your ass kicked on occasion, I am not interested in or open to your feedback. There are a million cheap seats in the world today filled with people who will never be brave with their own lives, but will spend every ounce of energy they have hurling advice and judgment at those of us trying to dare greatly. Their only contributions are criticism, cynicism, and fear-mongering. If you're criticizing from a place where you're not also putting yourself on the line, I'm not interested in your feedback. So that's my message to you. Take advantage of these turning points. Embrace these turning points. Be brave, have vision, and be in the arena. Thank you so much for having me today.
Okay, so this is normally the part that we do Q&A, but we're doing something different today. And you, my dear, are going to take a seat here.
Okay.
And scooch over.
Okay. Can you get over?
We, as a culture, do a very poor job of giving people their flowers while they can still smell them. So you are going to sit here, and I'm just going to randomly pick maybe 3 people from the crowd, like Jen and Jeff and Andrea, to come on up and say a few words about you. And there's some tissues right here. So we'll go Jeff, and then Jen, and then Andrea.
Oh, God.
Good morning, everyone. I am a fool. Why? Because first time I met this amazing woman was in a job interview. I could have hired her onto my team, and I didn't do it. What kind of idiot am I? Thankfully, she didn't write me off. So going forward, I've been able to watch her journey, right? From the symphony, moving on to the sports corps. I reflect back on COVID, right? I'm in the tourism business. Goodness gracious. Everything was falling apart, right? The idea that people were going to travel again, stay in hotels, it was all falling apart. The city needed a hero. And that hero was not Joe Hogsett, sorry. No, it was Sarah Myer. Right? When you looked around the city, on every Zoom screen, in every office, in every kitchen, in every back porch, there was Sarah Myer. She was planning March Madness, the most ambitious sports event hosting, I would say, in the country, right? With the conditions that we were dealing with, the scale of that event, and she did it like a boss, right? It was one of the proudest things I've ever been a part of. I've served on committees with her. I've served on boards with her. She's a dear friend. So excited to go to her wedding in a couple of weeks, right? So as I reflect back, am I a fool? Of course I should have hired her. Come on, she's amazing. But I'm glad that I didn't, because what she has done in her career has been amazing. I've been blessed to be a part of it, to work side by side with her on so many things. And I can't wait to see where she goes next. Give it up for Sarah. Woo!
Hi, Sarah. So I am not a pro like these two, and I had to write out my speech. So if you don't know me, my name is Jen. Some of you may know me, some may not. Some may just recognize me from her Instagram. But I'm so honored to stand here today to say a few words about someone who has made a huge impact on my life, our very favorite Sarah. So our story goes back 12 years when she was my boss at the Indianapolis Symphony. But from the moment we met, I knew she was more than just a boss. She's been my mentor, my guide, and the person who's helped me find my own voice, even when I wasn't sure I had one. The way Sarah leads is not just about managing a team or getting results. It's about lifting people up, showing us all how to believe in ourselves, and always leading with kindness and heart. And let's just be real, she's a total badass. Whether it was handling a big challenge or celebrating a small win, she's made sure everyone felt valued and heard. She taught me not just how to do the job, but how to approach life with creativity, resilience, heart, and countless shout laughs. And trust me, that's not something you find in just any boss. But what's most remarkable is the mark she's left on Indianapolis. I mean, look at this room. It's incredible. From her time at the Symphony to her role at the Sports Corp, she's been a driving force behind so much positive change in the city. And when Sarah puts her mind to something, it happens. Her passion for making a difference has created countless opportunities for others, and Indianapolis is undeniably better because of her. When we both left the Symphony to pursue other opportunities, a week apart, because there was no way we would stay without each other, I was terrified. As she mentioned, stepping away from something familiar is never easy. But knowing that she was walking that path with me was the courage I needed. We may have gone down vastly different roads, but she's continued to inspire me with how she tackles every challenge and makes it look effortless even when it's not. And of course, through all this, she's become more than a mentor or even a friend. She's become my family. She's seen me through the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. She's always there to support me, to give me advice, to make me laugh, to gossip about Bravo TV, and to remind me that we can handle anything that comes our way. Her wisdom and her strength and her unwavering support mean everything to me, and I'm so lucky to have you by my side. So Sarah, thank you for being the incredible leader you are, and for everything you've done for this city, and for being the best friend I could ever ask for. I love you, and I'm so proud of everything you've accomplished and all that's still to come.
I'm Andrea Hunley, your state senator. And the only reason I can say that to you is because of Sarah Myer. The only reason. The only reason. She was my campaign manager. So in 2021, I called Sarah and I said, I have this crazy idea. I know I've never run for office. I know you've never run a campaign. But I also know that you are a badass that gets things done, and I need someone who's going to be in my corner. And Sarah was like, I don't know how to do it, but I'll figure it out. And so we ran a really, really tough race, 5-way primary, where I was not the candidate that was most likely to win. I was third at best. And we won that race with more votes than the next two candidates combined. Thank you very much. But it's because Sarah was behind me. Y'all, I stand up here and I seem calm and I seem confident, but Sarah knows I'm a hot mess underneath all of this, a hot mess. You remember at my first debate that we were going into, our first panel, I was so scared. And I'm standing in the parking lot and I'm just shaking. I couldn't get out of bed that whole day. I was in my pajamas until 6 o'clock. The panel started at 6:30. And she's like, Andrea, you can do this. You can do this. You remember. So we're in the parking lot and we're standing out there and she's like, we're doing power poses. I'm like, what? And she's like, come on, do it with me. You are strong. You've got this. I killed it, right? Because you were always there reminding me that I can do the hard things. I can do the hard things. The very first time that I got to know Sarah, we were riding in the car together on a trip to our SKL retreat. And we had a long car ride together. And so she's telling me the story about her divorce and about Parker. I'm like, who is this woman who's been through all of these things? And you're so young and you seem so calm. And we had to give presentations at this event that we were going to. And she said, well, I'm really anxious about public speaking. I'm very nervous about public speaking. And as she's talking, she's driving and her hands are starting to shake as she's holding the wheel. And she's like, I hate it. I don't like to get it. But I started teaching a class at the YMCA so that I can become more confident public speaker. Who does that? Who does that? So the whole time that Sarah is now also running my campaign, has just coped with the death of a dear, dear loved one and friend, and she's working at Sports Corps, killing it, by the way, still teaching the classes at the Y, working on the board of Indie Hub, doing all of these things. She still made time for me and for my family, and that's the thing that I love the most. It's not about all the things that you've accomplished. You've done amazing, amazing, amazing work, but what you've really done is you've created an incredible role model for my girls, who they get to see you be soft. They get to see you take care of me when I don't know which way is up. And they get to see you come out here and share your truth. And I am so grateful to have you in my community of women that help take care of my women. So thank you so very much.